Okay, cool. Resuming the meeting at 8:59 p.m. We're going to take roll call. Senator Broder.
Present.
Senator Salia. Senator Desjardins.
Present.
Senator Frankel.
Present.
Senator Gabrielli.
Present.
Senator Ginsky.
Present.
Senator Gordon.
Present.
Senator Heredia.
Present.
Senator Hirschman.
Present.
Senator Sue.
Present.
Senator Jarrell.
Present.
Senator Kavusi. Senator Lee.
Present.
Senator Namdongkar.
Present.
Senator McGee.
Present.
Senator Wade. Senator Fitzcat. Hurry. Senator Mesh. Arizona. So Senator Salia. Senator Wynn. Senator Fitzcat. Hurry. Senator Mesh. Senator Thompson. Moving on to Senator-elect Jason Tang. Here. Alicia Lau. Andre Liu. Here. Anshul Chugh.
Here.
Sina Rashidi.
Yep.
Will Morrow.
Here.
Rachel Schuster. Arthur Prasad.
Here.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. Moving on to executive officer reports for 5 minutes and 5 minutes for questions. First is the ASUC president on ASUC president.
Hello, everyone. So, a couple meetings. I met with David Chang, Haley Roeder, and Megan Warner, kind of trying to talk about the issue of sexual assault, what's happening after the conference, and moving forward. Haley will be accompanying me on a meeting with the Chancellor this Friday to put forward a list of recommendations and different ways that the administration can maybe take more responsibility on the issue. Last Friday, I had a standing with your board. Thank you, President-elect Desjardins, for coming with me. We talked about a lot of issues, especially the African American Initiative, what the organization is going to look like, what that means in the context of the undergraduate initiative. So that was a stimulating conversation. There was also the undergraduate initiative subgroup on a community that day. And it was an interesting conversation. It was really focused on residential life. I tried to talk about what would happen with the new buildings, and the new buildings, while they weren't part of the undergraduate initiative in the first meeting, seemed to be a key part of it. Some of the things that we were really trying to push for are community spaces. One of the ideas that was floated in the meeting is the idea, kind of to answer the question about themed floors, is like this idea of like 50% floors. So we'll have to talk about that. But then one thing we were really pushing for is just more space on campus, accessible space. So anyone, even if they're commuter or non-traditional student, just open space within the residential buildings, and then seeing how we can build that in. That was kind of like the center of the conversation. On Saturday, I was fortunate enough to speak at the Cal Day New Student Welcome, as well as the Cal Day for Letters and Sciences, so that was fun. Sorry, my calendar just froze. And then Monday we also met with Andrea Jones, the Chief of Staff for the UC Provost. Thank you to Senator Gordon, as well as one of the Senator-elects for coming. I forgot your names, so I apologize. Kathy, fantastic. It was honestly a pretty blasé conversation, but it happened. And then today I had my Oregon Gov Committee meeting. Thank you for Joe for being there in person, because I was the only one on the phone, so I'm failing. Some things that are important that are happening: we're doing a food pantry donation drive, so you can donate your leftover meal points to support the food pantry. So if you could, there's a Facebook event, you can either search it, or I'll try and invite all of you. But if you can invite people you know, any freshmen especially, because most of them have meal points that they don't end up using, it's going to be helpful. Next Monday, there's going to be an email going out about food insecurity/security on campus. That was drafted in collaboration with this food security committee that's being led by Ruben Pinedo. And a couple other things are, there's one other thing that's really important. We're doing like a collaboration with Cal Slam on campus climate, and we're really excited for that. It's going to be May 1st. And yeah, and most of our transition meetings are set up now, so it's going to be exciting to stop doing this.
This is as much for you as it is President-elect. I'm wondering if there's any effort to set up, I'm being optimistic, one meeting a semester with the chancellor for all 20 senators. So at the beginning of each semester, all 20 senators get to meet with the chancellor.
That we know about these 48 hours in advance.
That we can schedule.
So on our meeting this Friday, that will be our ask, and I'm sure that we can make sure it happens. I'm very confident.
I guess like almost in direct response to that, I would ask that if that event is to occur, have it not be at the beginning of the year, just because I think that there is a learning curve, and I think it'd be much better and be much more productive Senate meeting if it were like
Middle.
if it's only one per year, second semester. If it can happen both semesters, in the middle of the semesters. But if only one per year, like I so strongly push for second semester because I think that everyone's 1,000 times better.
Can I just see a show of hands? I just want to, because like I agree with that. Would senators raise your hand if you like agree? Alright.
Senator Camusi.
Quick question, what's going on with the undergraduate initiative? Because we're working on the wellness seminar and there are some sentiments that we're worried that it's just going to be like kind of put on a shelf and not utilized. So we're just, with the class, like with the new classes that are kind of under the undergraduate initiative, as well as the advising that I've been hearing so much about with the undergraduate initiative.
So, I guess I have two responses. One is in every meeting about the undergraduate initiative, the wellness course always comes up from Kathy as like this model about how we can integrate this kind of curricular aspect with the residential housing portion, plus like how it can be like this new model of what like curriculum can be as an example. So it's talked about a lot. I don't know beyond that, and I can say that one thing that may stop the undergraduate initiative is fundraising this summer. Because if they don't raise the funds, then yeah, the program will probably stop. So that is all I know about it. But it is like, in terms of hit count in meetings, it is very highly talked about. In that everyone talks about it. For some reason.
People like it.
Yeah, people really enjoy it. I thought it was going to debut next fall. Allegedly. So, okay, because everyone in the room sounds like it's going to happen next fall.
That's solid.
Okay, because like I don't know about wellness outside, but in undergraduate initiative, that's the information I get, and that's the perception I've gotten from it. But I can ask, is there anyone in specific you think would know more?
No, I mean, there's no like specifics. We just like a lot, like those of us working on the actual wellness seminar are kind of confused about what it's gonna look like in practice, right? So we're building right now on Create. And they've been saying they're gonna hire new GSIs to teach it, but some of the course material is pretty sensitive, and you have to have the proper training to teach it, which has been a controversial thing with our guests because they don't feel comfortable speaking on a topic that they don't know people teaching it are going to be trained to teach. So I don't know who's the right person to ask because Rudy and I both asked and we're not, it's almost like we're working on it, like y'all do your end, we'll do our end, but to do our end, people need to feel comfortable engaging with us. I mean, we're still doing it, so Senator Elex, hit me up if you want to work on wellness because I need someone to replace me next year to make sure this happens.
I'll loop in with Rudy and see what's up.
Yeah, thank you.
Senator Gunsky.
Hey, nice haircut.
Okay, thank you.
Question about undergrad initiative. That subgroup focused on community, how do they plan on creating communal spaces for, you said, commuter students in res halls? That seems like, I'm just confused as to how that would happen, because like, what do you need a key? Like, how are they thinking that's going to work? And maybe it's like part of a bigger change, but I also think that subgroup focused on community could be like the source of a lot of concerns that we have with undergrad initiatives. So, any answers for that?
Yeah, so the conversation was bottom floor open, kind of, that was like the way we were steering the conversation, but it didn't get into any depth, if that makes sense. Because that was exactly what came up, which is whether or not there could be space on campus, and then the ultimate decision there was no. Unless it would take some time. So that was where we were going. Kind of like, imagine this is not what was said in the meeting. This is me paraphrasing. And what I took away from the meeting was like kind of like a Unit 1 APR that was like open.
Any other questions?
But in terms of those, I'll email Rudy and I'll double check about some of that, what the space can be.
Any other questions? Cool. Next up, we have External Affairs Vice President, Caitlin Quinn.
Sorry, I forgot to turn in my report, whatever, impeach me. Since this weekend was Cal Day and senior weekend had a lot of other really cool things, but it was also the Student Lobby Conference, which was really, really awesome. It was in Sacramento, which was easier for us than for a lot of campuses. We had some really, really great productive lobby visits. Our students learned a lot of different trainings. If you have any questions about it, you can talk to me. Let's see what else. Oh, last Monday, Kevin, Jessica, and I met with President Napolitano as well as a lot of the rest of UCSA board. It was actually one of our better meetings. Like, she was actually very receptive and responsive, which was not something I was expecting. And one thing which really concerned her was how little our chancellors are talking to us. Like, this is a consistent problem across all the campuses, apparently. I've never had a meeting with Dirk or anything like that, or any of his staff. So she said that she would be writing a letter to all of the chancellors asking them to meet quarterly with their associated students, because she had sent out a directive to Chancellor Dirks as well as the rest of the chancellors about what's going on with gender-neutral bathrooms. And so he never followed up with any students as far as I know, or anything like that. So when we told her about what happened here with UCPD forcing trans students off the bus and building managers chasing people out of buildings, she seemed very upset and pro-student in that sense. So that was really good for me to see, because it seems like she's taking that very seriously. So we were asking her to speed up that process along because of how many students don't feel safe. And if there's one place we can feel safe, it should be being able to go to the bathroom. Crazy radical thought, What else? Oh, we're having an event the first Monday of Dead Week, or I guess the only Monday of Dead Week, over in Willard Park. It'll be a way for community members and students and the university to all interact and meet each other, because there's so much tension between neighborhood groups in the city of Berkeley, against students, especially students in fraternities and sororities and co-ops, which we've seen, especially recently. So if y'all can come out to that, it'll be really cool. There'll be free barbecue food, some resources. We've invited, so far we've reached out to the Public Service Center and CERC, and we're reaching out to the fire department and Party Save at Cal and Everywhere Goes Home and things like that, so students and community members can both see what resources the city of Berkeley and the university have. And I think that if students and neighbors actually interact and interface, we'll have a lot less 911 calls about rowdy college students, and people won't think of students as this really abstract thing that they hate. So look out for more details on that. What else? Oh, and then the group living ordinance that we passed the bill about next week. I just got an email today from City Manager Jim Hines, who says that he's going to be recommending that the council postpone discussions about that until next semester, which will be really helpful, I think. I'm still going to be around the meeting on the 28th. I would recommend that if you represent co-ops or fraternities or sororities or any other group living associations, that you also be there. But it doesn't seem like we'll need the huge turnout that we were expecting to need. But we have to make sure that council votes to postpone it. Otherwise, we're kind of screwed. But I've been receiving good feedback that at least council members are listening to our concerns especially around sexual assault issues. I've had a lot of them kind of perk up their ears at that. So I haven't written my letter yet, and now with this new information, I'll be writing my letter to ask them to postpone it, as well as take in more student input, which is the reason that they have for postponing it. So those are the big things. If you have any questions, let me know.
Questions for Caitlin?
Is there any risk at all that they would try and vote on something when it isn't in session?
Yeah, that's always an issue. But the day that the city manager is recommending that they postpone it to is September, October. I can forward the Senate listserv that email to make sure, but there's always a huge problem that they could vote on things like this during July.
Is the purpose of moving it so that we can organize more students to come and the purpose of moving it isn't for any other reason than to help us, right?
They said that their reasoning was to help us and to have more student input. So if we take them at their word, that's good, but it's still definitely something that we need to keep an eye on.
I'm just glad to hear that that is the primary concern we have thinking about. Yeah.
Senator Sue?
Hi, is there any way your office can send out some sort of email for action steps? Because I sent an email to my sorority of the thing that Eric wrote, of a summary of it, and they were like, oh, what can we do, like a repetition? So
I mean, I talked to IFC and Pan Hellenic, and they said that they were sending that out, so it's kind of troubling to hear that that didn't happen. So I can definitely send out things to do.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Caitlin. Next up, we'll have the Vice President, Chief of Staff, Daniel Mohammed.
Hi everyone. All right, so I'm going to just jump right in. As you are probably aware, grants close on Friday, so we're expecting the typical last-minute rush, but still we want to make sure all of this money is utilized, so just make sure that your organizations are aware that this is the last chance to get that funding. Thank you to FICOM for reconsidering your earlier cuts to grants. I was really sad when I saw them at first, but I think it was a really wise move to restore greater amounts of funding for the grants. It's pretty much expected, and I'll have solidified numbers for you after grants close, that most all of our well-established grants will be exhausted this year. The only exceptions will be most likely the ADA Accessibility Grant, the Educational Equity and Excellence Fund, and the Arts and Creativity Fund, which are our newest funds, and have had some trouble picking up steam. But we're expecting that all of the other grants will be exhausted or come very, very close to being exhausted. So making sure that we have comparable funding next year is really important. Just a note to the future senators in the room, being considerate about the creation of new grants or the sustenance of certain grants, and ensuring that you don't make them unless you know that you can dedicate funding to them throughout the years, because having underfunded grants, you might as well just not have a grant. So that's just worth noting. Scholarships. Allocation meetings are underway and should be wrapping up ASAP. Thank you to the senators who sit on scholarship committees for being so cooperative with our staff. We're trying to get this done really, really quickly and efficiently so we can get the checks cut before school ends, so they don't have to worry about any other movement. Our recipients will be getting recognized at the ASUC banquets and receiving lovely certificates along with their name. Some policy updates. Academic Senate and Administrative Committee recruitment is underway, almost. My goal was to have everything up and running by 8 o'clock. It is 9:15 and they're still frantically word pressing in the back of AID. But it's my goal to have everything up by the end of the night and have the Facebook push start tomorrow. The website is avp.asuc.org/committees. It's not completely done yet, but it is, you can kind of take a look at it and see what the information that we have provided. It's pretty thorough, a lot more thorough than previous years, because we really want to make sure that students know what committees are and what they do so that they feel compelled to sit on them. Senators-elect, please apply for committees that are of interest to your platforms. You can get a lot of work done on your platforms through those committee spaces, but you do have to apply just like everybody else. So again, the application will be out tomorrow morning at the latest, and it's due Friday, May 1st at 5 p.m. Other policy-related things, the Rest Zones project, our CACSA project to create rest and relaxation spaces in various campus locations is going very, very well. We've been working with Senator Sue, AVP-elect Sue, and EVP Kong's office on negotiating with Moffitt Undergraduate Library to have that be our pilot Rest Zone location, and they have agreed. It's very, very exciting. So we have our space locked down. We're currently working on a memorandum of understanding just to break down all the space use policy and how we're going to be splitting the funding. Because Moffitt is already undergoing a renovation already, the expense to our project, to the grant money, is going to be very, very minimal. It's essentially just the cost of providing the nap spaces. Because there will be, I believe, 6 or 7 reservable nap spaces that you can reserve for 40 minutes. And they have like a pager and everything to wake you up. And it's really actually quite cool. So major kudos to AVP-elect Sue for fulfilling her platform on that. It's going to be a really, really cool 24-hour space. Last thing on policy, another grant that the AAVP office secured in collaboration with other offices was the Cal Student Assessment of Mental Health, which was going to be the student-run survey. We are transitioning that project to next year because it's not conceivable that we could get a survey out by the end of the year. But we know who all of the relevant stakeholders are and the people that we hope to work with on creating the survey. There are graduate students here at Berkeley who have done similar work for the graduate assembly. So I think that a lot of work can get done over the summer and then be picked up right at the beginning of fall semester, so that money can be utilized and we can have all that amazing data. Going to finish up with some admin updates. The search committee for equity and inclusion has wrapped up, and the names and feedback have been forwarded to the chancellor. Obviously, we can't share any of the names with you, but Monshane has told me to tell you that they're all awesome. So the chancellor should be deciding who the next vice chancellor will be, hopefully before the end of the school year. And finally, Monshane presented to the Berkeley Division of the Academic Senate today. Her presentation really focused on classroom climate, the utilization of course evaluations, and how her faculty use that feedback, as well as affordability and affordability of housing and food. Faculty was really responsive to affordable housing and food security. And I see that as a potential place where students and faculty can work together in advocacy next year. We disagree on some of the specifics, but overall, both parties see that there is a problem. And I think having the faculty on our side for those types of negotiations is ultimately a very, very good thing. And the feedback that Monshane got was overall pretty positive, so that's great. From here on out, again, our focus is on transitioning Senator Sue, or AVP-elect Sue, congratulations to her, and to my wonderful successor, Sarah Barrett. I'm really overjoyed to see that our office is going to be in such experienced and capable hands, and that they'll be continuing some of the projects that mean the most to us. So that's it for me. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Rishi is in the meeting, so he couldn't make it, but I will be the new Rishi today. We have 45 open cases right now, 17 in academic, 15 conduct, 7 financial aid, and 6 in grievance. That's pretty much following most of our trends, so we're not concerned.
Not too many updates beyond that. One of our wonderful caseworkers made the beautiful shift waiver infographic that hopefully y'all have been seeing around. Our grievance and comment division are working on getting presentations to athletics on sexual violence policy, kind of the policy meetings of consent and so on. Those have been going really well for part year, so we're really excited about that. And looking forward to what we can do for presentations next year. So the adjudication and investigation portion of the UC-wide sexual violence prevention task force is almost wrapping up. So there's a phone call tomorrow to discuss the final models. There's going to be a meeting in Oakland on Wednesday to further discuss, and I think they should have a solid decision made very, very soon. And then finally, we sent around our comments on the proposed changes to the sexual harassment, sexual violence policy. We also created a very easy-to-use survey for y'all to give us feedback on the changes. I have gotten one response, which is a little disheartening because it's been out for about a week and a half now, I think. So it's really critical we get your all voices. I was having email difficulties, so please let me know if you never got it. Looks like some of you never got it. Okay, that's upsetting. I'm so sorry. I sent it to all of your individual Senate emails, so. Oh, it went to spam. I take that back. Please take your time. Please fill it out soon. These changes, there's some really important changes, and student feedback is very critical. So please do get that to us soon. Beyond that, that's about it. Sorry that went to spam.
Hi, thanks for coming in. Are there any other big initiatives besides thinking sexual assault, of course? Anything else that you foresee for the upcoming year that we can help out with as we move out for this?
Not off the top of my head. There's currently a copy consolidation project that we have been roped into as well. We will be providing more information on that as it becomes a little clearer exactly what's happening. We're still kind of new to the project. But beyond that, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. But I will, that's a good question that I'll post to Risha and I'll let you know. Thank you for asking.
Other questions?
Thanks.
Hi everyone. Gosh, there's a lot to talk about. More articles about me, so that's really great. It's becoming a weekly thing. This is really great. But it's okay. But it's okay because I did have a really productive meeting with Chloe yesterday and today. Sitting down and talking about the miscommunication that went on with that particular bill, etc., and how we're going to move forward together, etc. What we decided was that we were going to still potentially move the bill forward together with her writing part of it and me writing part of it, I guess, and still go through the necessary channels within the GovCom, etc., Senate, so that all of you would have a chance to look at it. However, there were some specific things that they weren't completely sure about yet, and so they're talking to the senior editorial board on the daily outside to see what exactly would be the best solution in order to hold the voice fees, etc. transferred.
Apparently right now there's someone in HFA with a gun, and so if anyone is in that area, tell them to stay away from it.
Where?
The Hurstville Annex, so next to the right in front of Common Central on Bancroft. They already told UCPD and they're on the way, but if you know
Which one? Where?
Hurstville Annex.
Someone has a gun?
Telling people to stay away from them.
That's by first in, right?
Yeah. It's right next to the Hurst Chart.
Okay, seller June. Okay. So more on the Chloe note. Yeah, so based on the two MOUs I've written, one with the ASUC and one with the university pertaining to the police referendum, solutions moving forward get a little bit tricky, and so that's why we're not 100% sure whether or not we're going to move forward with the bill itself, but we will let COM know by Monday, and then me, Lavanya, Kimberly, and Chloe will very, very likely write a joint article together about the current situation, how we're planning on being more transparent about the fee moving forward, etc. On both of our ends, and hopefully communicate with the student body better about how these are moving on, transitioning has begun, and I'm on my way out, so that's really cool. We're planning on meeting tomorrow to kind of talk about the logistical stuff and projects that we haven't quite finished in terms of the EDP office and transferring that onto the new EDP office. As it currently stands for senators-elect in the room, Lavanya and I are trying to put on a 20-minute check-in for every single senator that has been elected for the next year. We usually do this every single year. I did that for the current class sitting in front of you. I don't have to be there particularly. I haven't quite decided yet whether or not I'm going to be there so that you guys can establish a personal connection with Lavanya rather than me because I'm leaving this room from there. So we'll decide that tomorrow. But we'll let you know. There'll be center slots. Just sign up, and then it's completely informal. Don't feel pressure to like thinking you have to prepare for it or anything. It's just like, hi, who are you? Like, what do you do in this campus? What are your priorities and shit? So cool. Next after that is ASUC banquet, May 2nd. Please keep that on your calendars as well. Please forward that to your staffs. Senators-elect, you're welcome to come as well. Mingle with other people, learn about and just talk to people who are currently in the ASUC right now. That's like one of your chances for a lot of different people to be in the same room and their experiences in the ASUC as well. We're currently going through the ASUC student union budget and business development and finance committee as part of the ASUC student union board. It's really, really dense. It's a lot of numbers, and I'm sure the ASUC representatives onto the board can attest to that. If you have any interest in wanting to run those numbers with us and seeing what the budget is going to look like for next year, please contact me, Dennis, Ish, or Joe, because we all are part of that committee, and there's lots of numbers that will be finalized, I believe, like the end of May for next year. I had a really productive meeting with CAPSIF, the subcommittee for CAPSIF actually. I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but the UCOP changed its policy on return to aid on course materials fees, which is really complicated because Berkeley is the only one that has like this really interesting concept of course material fees versus other campuses. I believe UCLA is the only other campus that kind of does that, but it's more revolved around technology. And so how are we providing course materials for students on this campus equitably? For example, SBOM always has this like notorious class where they send their students on a really expensive field trip that costs like $5,000 or something. So if you are an SBOM major and still want to take this class, you still have to pay that if you can't afford it. So that's the main question that's going on. We did develop a couple of recommendations, but a couple meaning that we couldn't decide what recommendations was. So those are going to be moving forward through tactic, but if you have any interest in that aspect, you know, so we can talk. Yeah. So I want to remind committee chairs for standing committees that senators-elect are also going to be coming to those meetings. Please do roll call. They have to stay for the entirety of the committee meeting. Yeah, which is really awkward. So vice chairs, please take note of that as well. All the vice chairs are CSF survey data, in conjunction with the graduate assembly, as you know, we hired a graduate student to go through all the data, compile it into something that's more readable and digestible for students. To my understanding, that data analysis is almost done, so we should have it for the next year. It's kind of similar to, I don't know if all of you saw the voter data for the Daily Cal, but on a model that's similar to that in terms of like being able to look at specific information, but still be able to get all the information and easily readable. So I'll keep you updated on that as well. The Student Organization Mental Health Initiative that I talked about throughout the entirety of the year, what we secured CASA funds for, we did face a little bit of delay in being able to actually implement the program, just because a lot of different stakeholders are involved in the process. Teen Center is going to also be involved now. And so what we're currently looking at right now is just have the necessary stakeholders in the room and hash out what the program exactly is going to look like moving forward, and then that's probably going to be passed on to the next EVP office. And then lastly, a little bit of updates for how the Senate meeting next week is going to go. All of you had really great questions for Nils, especially pertaining to the global Richmond Bay campus last week. He did want to ask everyone to invite any community members or students to Annahead 6 p.m. next week to ask questions as an open forum, to ask about the development of the Richmond Bay campus, what's going on there, etc. And so that's going to be right before the Senate meeting. So it's going to be starting the Senate meeting. So please spread the word. I'll send out a blurb anytime that we can.
So as for the bill with Daily Cal, can we also actively engage with you and write some stuff down? Because I know Chloe graciously came and talked at GCOM, which was really informative, and I also think it would be really important for other communities to reach out to her, especially like at COM, because there seems to be some miscommunication between Daily Cal and the ASUC regarding that. Additionally, I would like to implore, and the reason I'm saying it over the microphone is like if this wasn't like enunciated enough, like we need to be contacted about articles that are being written with like factual information at least 12 hours in advance, and a Facebook message at 2 a.m. doesn't count as contacting us. I don't know if we can like write that into the bill, but I'm also just saying it because like, yeah, a lot of what they said was true, but a lot of their criticism came from the fact that they couldn't reach us because they tried to reach us at 2 a.m. via Facebook. That's all I'm saying. Additionally, there's not a lot of information on the Voice Initiative on the Daily Cal's website and the information. And seeing as like student fees do go to pay for the Daily Cal, which is awesome, it is really important that that should be really transparent. So I just wanted to like enunciate that for everyone.
Definitely still going to go to GovCom, so y'all as senators still have the right to edit the bill in whatever capacity or I could send you the draft language over if you're interested. For the Daily Cal website and the voice referendum information stuff, we actually did bring up that concern. We being the money with Chloe and Kim. And they recognize that, and they should be updating their website with the necessary information as soon as possible. So that's really good news as well. Senator Fairfield.
What are the other senators doing right now that's more important than our meeting? Senators, what's more important than our meeting right now?
So there was, I sent a message to the Senate group, to the current Senate group, but just, it wasn't clear, but someone was near or in the MTC, a person didn't want to leave, they had a tote bag and had something that looked like a gun in their pocket. People in the area near him called UCPD, and a lot of the people within the HFA building, HFA 10, I think it's building B or C, near the MTC, just kind of closed their doors, locked their rooms, and then UCPD was called. There are a lot of murky details, but just as a safety precaution, just tell, like, if you know anyone who's working in, like, 114 Hercer, you just to stay indoors for now.
Did he say there was a guy
It's unclear, but it's better safe than sorry to just stay indoors and stay away from that area for now. But all feeling well and everything else coming.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Moving on to ASUC official reports. First, we have Chief Communications Officer.
Okay, hi everyone. Thank you to the senators who came to Cal Day, Madison, Ely, and Tanae. Shout out to you for helping me. That was great. Did I forget anyone? No, that's it. So the website is basically done content-wise. We're just waiting on the front group design to finish up the last round of edits that we've given them. So the launch date is set for next Wednesday. I will email if that changes, but we're pretty on track for that. Basically, I'm 100% focused on just transitioning Chloe right now into my position for next year. I basically spent the last 3 weeks teaching her everything, going through everything that needs to be done, especially with outreach and marketing for Lower Sproul next year. And we've been meeting with Tiffany from Student Union Marketing, who spoke earlier to you all. So that's going well. Only announcement, I guess, is next week I'm going to be taking pictures of you, or I'll have a camera. I'm going to be taking pictures of the new execs for the website and for the new building. And then I can just take pictures of you as a Senate class as well. So wear something that you would like to be photographed. Next week at Senate.
Joe, thank you for all the work. I had a quick question. Maybe you could talk to Chloe about this during transitioning. If there could be some sort of campus-wide email blasting and live streaming, just so we get more people to watch the assemblies at the beginning of the year, and if it's a consistent link every time.
We have a different link every week. As far as I know, Pavan is the only one who does campus-wide email blasts, and the SCW approved, so I've never had access to that. I am able to get access to Calendar Blast, which is just student group leaders, so we can look into doing that for next year. I think doing a campus-wide blast would be difficult, but we can look into doing that, yeah.
Any other questions? Cool, thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Chief Financial Officer.
Yeah, Daddy.
Hello. Hi, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. A couple updates. First, I don't know if I told you all about this, but right now I'm also working at the Lead Center. So like, it's been an awesome experience. I got to learn a lot more about the operations of the center, and I got to communicate with different advisors, staff at the Lead Center, and I mean it's been a lot of help from both sides, meaning like it helps my work as CFO because I can't answer students' questions directly. Sometimes they call me center saying like, oh, can I talk to the CFO within this lead? And then like I'm sitting like next to the phone. So that was awesome. So there's that. And the other report is stipend reports. So like if you are official going to receive stipends and have not submitted the stipend reports, do that, or you're not getting paid. Yeah. Also, okay, another shout out to FICOM, Senator Mario, Naveed, Senator Madison Gordon, Senator Tanema Gankar, Senator Renee Ramesh, Senator Hannah Franco, Senator Melissa Sue, Senator King Shaw. Am I missing anyone?
Yourself.
Oh. Yeah, we spent 22 and a half hours in total in a few hearings. That's a whole, almost an entire day of our lives. But I'm glad that we got a lot of things done. FICOM allocated a total of 106K additional to just the student groups, not accounting for other increase or decrease for ASUC operations. So, I mean, obviously there are some cuts in the budget. For example, we cut Elections Council budget, we cut GOF, we cut COF, we cut most of the executive office's discretionary funding. The most updated budget is online. You can go on asuc.org and then under resources, click on funding, and then you will find the budget. Okay, so okay. And in talking about financial transparency for the exact discretionary funding, there has been a freedom of information request being sent out to me asking for all the data for discretionary funding account. So with the consent of all 5 executive offices, I will go into your accounting account and then I will download the data to compile the budget and then forward the request to Heidi and Natalia. Okay. What else? And also I forwarded like 100 emails to Heidi for like students' requests on the ASUC budget or the process, and I'm just trying to be transparent so that there's no more data count articles. Yeah. Okay, going into TVG presentation, I actually met with Arturo, the GA VP of Finance last year a few times regarding the, talking about GA endowment funds and also with different accounts and also partnership between GA and ASUC. And I mean also met with Lincoln like probably like week on a weekly basis. And we talked about the potential of moving those different accounts to our investment portfolio. And I was in agreement with GA and Lincoln since last semester that we're going to communicate between the two parties and the university to try to work out a contract so that we can combine the funds together and then create like a more in-depth, I guess, of an endowment fund for both parties, because like, it doesn't make sense for me to have like 2 separate endowment funds between GA and ASUC, because like we have the same goals, the same investment interest, like, there's the contract with GA and the university has been set up since 2010, so it's been like communicated, it's been worked on, and if we want to like get on the boat, all we need to do is like communicate with GA. And I guess Pavel can be the lead of that, and then and make that happen. Yep. So I guess Tony and Adonis next year can work on that definitely to make that happen. What else? Oh, I'm just so happy that TVG recognizes the workload of the CFO office. Like and I definitely recognize that. Like I mean last year it was like definitely different than this year because of the change of positions for the chiefs. So this year I didn't build up an office like the executive offices, which led to like an overload of work in my office. So I'm communicating with Tony. I'm like training him to make sure that next year he will build like 5 different departments to make sure that everything all responsibilities with this office is being taken care of. Next year CFO will probably have to work with the EVP office to make sure that like to separate the work in terms of finances on the ASUC, because in the Constitution, the ASUC Constitution and bylaws, the both offices share the same kind of workload and responsibilities, so they're gonna have to work that out. Going into, well, okay, let's take away from my role as CFO and go into the role of student union board representative. I'm also the chair for Business and Finance Committee for Student Union Board, and we met, I think, yesterday to talk about different contracting issues and budgeting issues with the Student Union Board. So a couple of updates is that we are still dealing with the contract with Amazon. They kind of gave us like a red line that like we have to like pick one of the options that they provided us. So if you're interested, like I can send you an email about it, but I don't want to go into that right now. And also the budget with the student union is we're still working on it. It's kind of a mess, but just to briefly overview, right now there's one account with the student union that's has a couple $1 million deficit, but at the same time in another account we have like a couple $1 million surplus. So we don't actually have a deficit. It's just that accounting issues over the years, similar with the ASUC, has been really messed up, I guess, and has not been taken care of. So Jessie has been really great help in terms of working on that issue, and she's also trying to find a place to guarantee the 250K with 250K for ASUC and GA. That's an annual contract between the two parties until 2017. Yeah, sorry, that was long. Okay, I done with my reports.
If you're able to answer this, what is the total operating budget of the ASUC Student Union? And then my second question is there anything that's standing out to you at this point that we should know about, or besides what you talked about?
I don't have the exact data for the total operating budget. I think it's around Justin, do you have the data?
Around $2 million.
$2 million? Yeah, so that's is it like Joe, is it like a surplus or like the total revenue? Because I know that because next year with the lowest brow opening, basically everything is gonna go off the chart, because we're gonna have a lot more revenue and a lot more operation expenses. So at this point it's hard to make a projection on what or make it keep a close projection on what it will be like next year. But the university is I think there's a $4 million difference between the university contribution to the student union because it's the lowest brow, and there are a lot more other things that we need to look into. But I think after next week I can give you more detailed updates.
Other questions?
Thank you.
Hi everyone. I am really excited to be here. My report is going to be short and sweet. First, I would like to start off by saying the elections are done. So yay, congratulations to everyone who were elected, everyone who went through the process. All of the candidates were amazing. So thank you all, and thank you to all of your staffs and the election council chair and election council in general, and judicial council and all of the senators. So thank you all. Secondly, the freedom we have received and are receiving more of these Freedom of Information Act requests, which when we say Freedom of Information Act, we mean those in our bylaws. There are specific requirements for those. specifically what we can disclose and what we actually do not provide, such as, for example, medical records, personal information and such. We do not release those, obviously. There's HIPAA and other things. Did I say HIPAA? Yeah. Well, privacy acts. And that we have to abide by. On that note, I would like to request from anyone who's here, either those who are currently sitting senators and then those who are elected, please do not delete any information. And if you have received an email from Heidi, please forward her any information that she's asking for. The deadline for one of those requests is Friday, so we need to provide that student with the information that he was asking for. Secondly, for elections, Judicial Council just issued a summary judgment for the case ASUC versus Benedict Lauer. That is right. They issued one censure for spamming. We wanted to, again, let Judicial Council decide what they would do with that case, and they issued one censure. Also, we are planning, Election Council is planning on having a final meeting where we're going to talk about plea deals and finance violations. It's going to be a closed meeting. We're going to invite the violating party, and we are planning on doing it this Friday at 5 p.m. And unfortunately, it's closed because we would like to respect those who are involved. Also, I met with PDP today, and we went over some budgetary things. I would like to say this on record: no rules were broken. He did not spend anything. I mean, the budget was really accurate. It was clear. He had 60 staff members. I calculated that he spent about $1.30 per week per member. It's not a lot of money, and it went to retention of staff and retreats. It's really normal for an office to want to do those things and to bond and to actually, focus on education and things like that. I'm not sure why Daily Cal do not, fact check, ask for budgets, talk to the individuals. They just publish things and go with it. And actually that could potentially, destroy someone's future career, mental health, etc., etc. Daily Cal, shame on you. Another thing that I would like to actually say is that I just found out that Jenny, the election council chair, was at the FICA meeting at 4 a.m. Thank you for that. And during that meeting, she experienced a very uncomfortable very unprofessional treatment from one of the senators here. I would like to say that the election council is critical for elections. We deal with logistics, and that's actually Jenny and her team. We deal with tabulation, Jenny and her team. We deal with violations, that's myself, the prosecution team, the defender. We deal with polling locations, etc. So there's so much that goes into just dealing with elections. We have meetings quite often. We talk almost every day. The amount of time that she spent with her team, with our teams, with you know, everyone on that council it's been a lot. Let's just put it like that. But I want to really point out, like, I understand that you're senators, you know how much time you put into like your platforms. Please give the same respect to like the appointed officials, because especially Jenny, even though she works, you know, like, as you may think, like during like the election season, actually her work starts at the beginning of the semester. And so she's going to talk a little bit more about that, but I just want to make sure that like that's on record as well, because the treatment that she received at 4 a.m. Was not that nice, I guess. And I think that you know, that senator specifically should rethink the strategies. Anyway, thank you so much. I hope you have a good rest of the evening.
So I'll start off with just saying a little bit about the council plans for the rest of the semester. So as everyone is aware, elections is over, and we're wrapping up with tasks gearing for the preparation of next year with a debrief meeting, and also, as Natalia mentioned, we have a council meeting on Friday as well to discuss the last of the campaign violations. So I wanted to kind of talk a little bit more about what the elections council members have done this year. They've done a really tremendous job. As a team, they've had nearly 12,700 voters and established one of the first council structure ever with the AG, Chief Accountability Officer, the ASUC Secretariat, Chief Auditor, Assistant Chair, and the newly created Prosecutor and Public Defender positions. And it's hard to be working on such a new type of structure, especially if you're the first person in your position. You have to really try to do as best as you can to set precedents for the future. And this is really done so that we can have a fair, just, transparent council structure where any decisions made by the council aren't just determined by any single individual, but go through a discussion process and are approved by 8 people. And I would say that in terms of trying to reach new heights with openness, fairness, that this council has done a great job, which is why I am rather a bit upset with what happened Monday evening, because I feel like I wasn't able to defend the Elections Council and the work that they've done as well as I would have liked to. I think that, first of all, I do really like to thank FICOM for letting me speak and appeal. Obviously, what I'm about to say, it doesn't apply to all the senators or even the vast majority of the FICOM people, and I do honestly feel like it was late. It was 3 a.m., 4 a.m., that, you know, everyone was tired. Things may have been said just because it was late. So, but I do feel like it's not that there's a difference between budget cutting, the necessity for that, and going beyond to try to devalue the work of a council. So just because we want to try to cut budget from Elections Council doesn't mean that we have to try to break down the importance of it and call the hard work of a whole entire team of really dedicated students as worthless or unimportant. And so I was a bit displeased by kind of a lack of understanding for the Elections Council, and just overall feelings of disrespect, because I have been to other Senate committee meetings and I've always felt there's always been a high level of respect and really great conversations that come through it. And even though a really productive discussion did occur, I really wasn't expecting to have to kind of like defend the work of all the council members. And so, if anybody has any questions about any specific council member position or what the work we do, you can definitely feel free to ask me now, later. But I just feel like I just wanted to kind of especially
also remind the new senators, because a lot of them are here today, that being a part of the appointed officers and even working as a part of an appointed officer council is really difficult position, because maybe your work is not recognized as much as other members of the ASUC. And despite what was said during the appeals, I think there was a comment made that we were doing this position for resume boosters. That's absolutely untrue. I know that many of my council members are seniors and they have full-time occupations long planned before they even joined the council this year, so that you want to try to keep them and treat them with respect that you would with any other person. So that's it for now. Thanks.
Questions for Jenny or Natalia?
Probably just like.
Okay. If you have any questions, just reach out to them. Thank you, Jenny. Next we have ASUC archivist.
Hi everyone, long time no see. Congratulations on being done with elections. Congratulations for all of you who won, all of you who went through the process. It's really great to see a new year of elected officials and hopefully appointed officials in the ASUC. So I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about the archives, the work that I and Austin have been doing together over the course of the year, along with Becca Knopf, who is our advisor, and hopefully answer some of your questions about the archives. And I know probably most of you have never seen it before. So what is the ASUC Archives? The archives are our collection of records since our founding in 1876, which makes us 127 years old as an organization. Our birthday was on March 16th. Probably not many people knew that. I found that out in the record. It composes all the Senate minutes, the financial documents, reports, publications, employment documentations of staff, daily Cal articles. We even have some regent minutes. It's like a really wide collection of everything you can possibly think of. It's unorganized, uncatalogued, and inaccessible to the public currently. And I'll talk about a little bit why and where they are. So the archives are located in two locations right now. 2/3 of them are located in the Bancroft Library, which is the source of all the university records. So Bancroft Library is a rare manuscript library on campus. It's one of the Berkeley libraries here. And then 1/3 of them are downstairs in Hearst in 2D, which is this room kind of in the back of the corner by where NOD and Blue and Gold are, if you know what it is. So some past history on the archives. The archives were originally located in a big basement room in Old Eshelman. They were kind of collected every year when we took physical meeting notes of the Senate. And they were stored downstairs kind of without a lot of organization. In 2011, when I was the Student Spaces Director for AVP Justin Zirath, we worked on transitioning them to Bancroft, at least part of them, with the idea that Bancroft was a more permanent storage facility for the records. We didn't have a lot of space, obviously, in Hearst to store them, and so they were just kind of handed over with some of the old staff members. 1/3 of them were transitioned to Hearst, and since 2011, documents have been added to this group. So the graduate documents have been added to this, as well as Jan Crowder, who was an old advisor who worked here for 44 years. All of her documentation went into them. So this process kind of was disjointed in the fact that part of them were handed off to Bancroft to store, and then we still kind of have this weird cross-section of everything from 1876 to today downstairs in Hearst. So kind of my job of last year, working with Austin and Becca, has been to size up the archives, figure out what was actually in there, figure out a game plan about what we were going to do with them, and how we were going to hopefully create a future plan. So our plan right now is to transition the rest of the archives to Bancroft Library. This is for multiple reasons, one of which we don't have space in the new building to put them in, but they're obviously a huge part of our history, and so I've been working with the Bancroft Library and librarians there to figure out an actual plan to put that together. We also have talked about digitizing these records, making them accessible online to public and staff to some extent, because we have 127 years of history, and a lot of it is really rich history about not just the ASUC, but every single student organization on campus, because every single student organization up until 1956 came from the ASUC. They started from the ASUC, they reported to the ASUC. And so, if you can record scratch that back on. No? Okay. And really come up with not only the old record documents, what to do with them, but also figure out how to input all of our new documents, right? So you all do bi-weekly reports, the executives do weekly reports, you have finance documents, you have appointed official reports that are happening all the time. What are we actually doing with those? Are we coming up with a system that they can be accessible and transparent to the public? And how do we match our old record system and organize our old records so that it matches whatever new system we're going to come up with? And so really we need to figure out an MOU with Bancroft to figure this out, because as I found out when I was doing research for my thesis, it took me 4.5 months to get access to any of these records. They're currently inaccessible to the public. For any of you who've actually gone to Bancroft, it's kind of like Fort Knox. You can only come in with a pencil and a piece of paper, and you can't take pictures. They charge you $10 a day to take pictures, but I took really sneaky ones. I was like James Bond there trying to take pictures. And I think that the really important part about this is about the future of the organization and all of us as ASUC officials. So our opportunities really are for research. A couple of things that I found out in the archives. We used to control all the wages of students on campus and off campus in the Berkeley area in the late 40s and 50s, which meant that we set a living wage for the campus in which the university had to respond, and we ran it was called Fair Wages, in which we put decals in local businesses, and if they didn't comply with working standards for students, people wouldn't shop there. And we put together a report that showed that we had over $1 million of purchasing power in 1943. When we controlled athletics, we had an operating budget of $83 million in today's current revenue. So all of these are things that we can take and learn from the past and apply to some of our work today. And I think it's also really important just to understand where the ASUC came from. Some of the things. Additionally, we're a nonprofit. The reason we became a nonprofit is because the IRS was auditing us, and the university hired our lawyer behind back doors to make sure that we became a nonprofit, which would make us part of the university, right? So we tout how important and great it is that we're a nonprofit and how independent we are, but actually that independency was lost through becoming a nonprofit in 1947. So I know this all sounds really boring, but the reason the archives are important is because we never knew any of this beforehand. Alec had done some preliminary research in the archives before, and we know a lot about after the Senate was formed in 1956, but anything before that was really kind of best guessing. And a lot of times the university had constructed a narrative about how we were formed and what our role was, which was inaccurate in my comparison, the records I looked at. And it's also important, as a nonprofit, we need to keep good financial records. This is something that year after year hinders us from making good financial decisions, is not understanding our previous year's allocations and how the organization has grown. I'm sure all of you at SLI was impressed by the scope of what we really do versus what the student campus thinks we do. And I think that a huge part of that can be eliminated through transparency of our records and really understanding where the association has been and should go. Another opportunity that I think could be really great, this is just a fun idea that maybe we could put together sometime, is displaying historical pieces in the new building, showing the ACC's history. When Eshelman opens in the fall, it'll be a 51-year anniversary from when the first building opened. And I think that what's important is that when this building opens, the campus and the administration and the students understand that this is like, the ASUC has a long history, right? Like, this isn't just a brand new building, we're not some like hip new student organization, like we've been here for a long time, we have a long history of what we've been able to accomplish. So considerations, like I mentioned, the current access to the Bancroft is really limited. Right now, you basically can't get any access to ASUC material in Bancroft Library without explicit written permission. And me and Austin have talked with some librarians about this, especially for the case that like we're still technically the owners of the documents, why we couldn't have access to them. And they said that they have no staffing available to make them organized and cataloged. So basically, our worry in transitioning these documents to Bancroft, the remainder that we have in the bottom of Hearst, is that we wouldn't see them for 10 years. If we give Bancroft the stuff that we have in the basement of Hearst right now, we will not see these documents for another 10 years, at the very least. They have no plans to categorize them or archive them and make them available to the public, and they have absolutely no plans for the future to ever make them digitally accessible. And so my feeling is that I'd like to get your feedback as well. We've put together a tentative plan to really like rough and dirty digitally archive what we do have and put it on a server that the OCF has agreed to host for us. Not to do anything with at the moment, but just so that we could have those documents available to us in the next decade. And then we would categorize, set up an MOU with Bancroft to transition the rest of the records to Bancroft to hold. And we do think that Bancroft is the most appropriate place for these documents long term, because in the move from Old Eshelman to Hearst, there was quite a bit of water damage that happened in the basement. I've dealt with lots of spiders, lots of fun things down there. It's kind of scary, to be honest. But what we really want to do is we want a long-term retention program for our records. And we really need to address the lack of historical memory and consistency in keeping records. And I've met with Sarjit, who's the new Chief Accountability Officer, to talk about what ways that we can integrate this into his position to make sure that input of future records are being consistent with whatever system that we set up for our old records. And hopefully work out. I know that EVP-elect Lavanya worked on a bill to look at the archivist position. I think that's a great start. We just need to come up with the logistics of how we actually want to make this happen, right? So it requires infrastructure, it requires materials, it requires staffing hours. And yes, my recommendations, really, fund the archives. I'll be coming to FICOM on Monday. I think we need to really talk about an MOU with Bancroft. It doesn't need to be terribly comprehensive, but I think that when EVP Sayrath turned over the documents 3 years ago without an agreement, and since there's been a huge turnover since that point, the lack of access to those documents is a huge issue now. We no longer have access to about 80 years of our history, and the university can deny us access to that, which I think we should and can renegotiate. And in addition to turning over any new documents under new pretenses. Create a records management policy developed by the COA and the Senate. We're kind of working on a tentative archives working group with the Attorney General, the Chief Accountability Officer, and the EVP's office. And explore costs for digital archives and possible displays in the new Eshelman building. So that's about it. If you have any questions,
I don't want to go into too much because you'll be talking to us in FICOM, but can you go into exactly what the around 4,000 in funding would be going to?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think my recommendation on Monday would not be 4,000, but because we've spent about half of our budget this year. We're currently purchasing scanners to actually facilitate the process of digitally copying most of the archives. Most of the materials that we would need are coming from Bancroft itself. And then I worked with Kelly Moore, who's the publications advisor, to work with her to get some of her hourly staff hours to actually support the archive so that we didn't have to pay for it directly ourselves. So I don't think 4,000 is necessary. I will be coming to FICOM with a more line item budget about what is to be expected, but I think cutting it entirely kind of roadblock in a lot of the work that we've done this year. I would say most of the budget has gone to Austin and I's hourly paycheck. And that really has been coming up with like a strategic plan and what to do with the archives. The hours over the summer of actually organizing them will come from publication staff. And I think that hopefully with the new COA we can identify what kind of infrastructure we want to develop. That 4,000 line item was developed by EVP PAC with the idea that we were going to actually hold server space on some kind of cloud to store the archives, and now we think that that's not the direction that we want to go to. It's just that was what he had planned, and it didn't end up being something that worked out really. So I think with me working with OCF, and they've agreed to host all the archives for free and give us like 2 terabytes of space really for free, and utilizing them as the ASUC program, who I think will be around for quite a while, should cut costs. About a third. And it's an interesting third because it's not like the most recent third. It's like, it's literally a cross-section of everything. So I have books from like the 1945 football class, and I have like course catalogs from the free speech movement, and I have regent minutes from like 1985, and I have all of Jaron Crowder's office sitting in there, so, which like Rob's probably the only person who knows that means. But, so yeah, it's a 8 by 8 room filled with things. It's probably about 20 or 25 cartons worth of materials. There's also a lot of student publication materials in there, and so that's why I was working with the publications director to actually figure out what we wanted to do with that. Do we want to include student publications in our own archives, or do we want to try and separate them out?
Additionally, what was Justin's understanding with Bancroft about keeping them there? Like, are we going to be able to get them back, or do we have to bring them over and get them back?
So I'm not sure what exactly EVP Seraph's conversation was with Bancroft at the time. My conversation with the Bancroft staff that he worked with was that it was kind of a we don't have anywhere to put these right now, can you store them for right now conversation. And what that means is, if any of you have done archive research on campus, they get sent to NRLF, which is the off-campus archive site, and it's just sitting there. It's really they don't have the technicians and they don't have the staff to necessarily do anything with it right now. And the way that it works is that they prioritize their projects by who's funding them. So one of the conversations we've had with them is that if we provided funding for their staff to have people sort them and putting together finding guides, if they could be searched through publicly. ASUC Irvine has this currently. If you go on that online California archives, you can actually search through all of their records. Now, they started in 1965, so it's half the amount of records that we have. But it's very possible, and I think we could solicit outside donors or different spaces to try and put this archive together. We've been working with the class of 1968 to try and identify some possibilities, but they basically took it as that they were just collecting they had staff that are collection experts, and so they were like, oh great, we'll take it. But like I said, it took me 4.5 months and 3 written letters to get access to them. And so I think that's unacceptable. I mean, there are archives, we should be able to access them really whenever we need to or want to. But we just need to look the procedures. I think that they're very understanding, but the communication gap in previous administrations meant that they didn't know what to do with them.
Hi, thanks for coming. So I just wanted to give you the reasoning behind our cut, but we can talk about this one back. It was just because we looked into the fund on Calendar and it was completely full and we hadn't heard about what was going on with it. So we were like, oh, they must have just not done anything this year and they must not use the money. But we can talk more back on that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure, and maybe it's a good thing that we're having this conversation and it happened because I think a lot of this has been funded through the Lead Center and not necessarily through our account, so maybe there's just a conversation needs to happen about what does the ASUC want to fund and what does the Lead Center want to fund, and how do we make that distinction, because obviously, we should charge it to the Lead Center if we can. I didn't say that, but yeah, we can try and reduce the costs to the ACC directly. That's the obvious thing. I mean, I think also symbolically, as much as we can, like, even just some amount of funding would mean that, like, there's investment, and I think with this position, since it really hasn't existed until this year, you know, there's still a lot to do with it, who it reports to, and I think the bill that was written before hopefully can clarify that with the Chief Accountability Officer.
Any questions? Moving on to committee reports on the agenda. First we have Governance and Internal Affairs Vice Chair.
Yeah, I reflect to Senator Gabrielle.
Yes, so GovCon met on Monday. We postponed Senator Frankel's bill regarding restructuring of the way Greek organizations request money from the ASUC. We also postponed EVP Collins' bills because there were some concerns about them. And on that note, we had Daily Cal come in. We had a discussion with all of GovCon and Daily Cal on a two-way side of the concerns that Daily Cal had, and also some concerns that senators had with how Daily Cal went about their concerns. And so that was productive. And finally, we had interviewed CTO, our new CTO, Mahir. And so we have a new Chief Technology Officer, a new position at ASUC, which is really exciting. And Mahir has put in a lot of work to this position and has some cool ideas. So, thank you.
Questions for GovCon? Thank you. Moving on to External and University Affairs, Vice Chair. Moving on to External and University Affairs Vice Chair.
External Affairs Committee did not meet this week, but I did want to say, because we have a lot of senators elect here, that there's a proposal right now to change time for XCOM next week to 8:30 instead of 7 p.m. So just be aware there might be a time change, and there probably will be a time change. But yeah, town hall on real estate, Haley says. Endorse that message. Yep.
Any questions for Cool, thank you. Moving on to Finance Committee Chair, Senator Drew.
Hi everyone. Okay, so Dennis covered like almost everything in his report, so I won't take too much time. We had there were just a bunch of meetings. One thing that I wanted to let you all know is that we have 30,000 left that we're trying to figure out where to put in general. That conversation, I'd like to make sure that you all are also part of that. It's not like it's not like, oh, we actually have 30,000 left. I know I phrased that wrong. It's just that amount has not been officially allocated in terms of the larger amount that we were expecting to allocate. And the intention, I mean, there have been a lot of different ideas thrown out. It's just that number in itself would also make up for the huge amount that we already took out of territory previously in the year as well. So it's not that we have extra money at all. So I want to emphasize that. But that's, according to the number sheet, that is what it says as of now. So if you want to talk more about that offline, offline and by we can talk about that. So we will be finalizing our spring budgeting allocations on Monday. We'll be re-reviewing a lot of things, including election council and a lot of other things. Budgets, internal ASUC budgets. Rob will be coming in to talk about that. So if you all are interested in that, please come to the FICON meeting. Shout out to your goddess for coming and staying the whole time until 4:30 a.m. At FICON. And shout out to all the other senators that came to Dree. It's not. Dree. Oh, I'm sorry, we have Lavanya. People came, it was great. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much it. Cool. Let us know if you have any questions. Okay, bye.
I have two comments. One is that I was a little bit disappointed with some of the allocation standards and consistency among them. One specifically, I was dissatisfied, and I took the justice later in FICOM with the inconsistency about groups that came in for contingency and if we plan to support or not support them in coming back or not. So if they had an event that they came in for contingency that they plan to have next year, we didn't fund them sometimes, but most of the time we did. So I'm not sure why that was, and we shut down the conversation then, but I'd like to start that again next week. And then the other disappointment that I had is relating to groups that are seen as umbrella groups. Is this working? It's better. For umbrella groups, so umbrella groups such as the engineering students something, right? Council, we saw as a group that had many subgroups, and therefore we did not stick to the small amount of the $200 variation. And specifically, what my disappointment comes in is within the JSU and hated that group. This group does oversee a lot of other groups, and I do feel that, especially in light of, I guess, the hardship that's facing the Jewish community right now. Without a Jewish senator, it's important to support these groups, and I do feel that they had enough planning down and legitimate budget that proved that it wouldn't cover them fully, but only be supporting a fraction of their costs. And this was more than just a matter of growth, this was allowing them to do the things that they hope to do. So if we don't fund them now, they will be coming into contingency so many times. So I really want to bring that up to the floor before I have a comment.
Yeah, so I want to follow up Senator Franco came around an hour and 15 before the JSU is up, and just to observe sort of the process, because I didn't want to come right away without seeing how FICOM deals with the appeals. I first want to say I appreciate all the work FICOM has done. Someone external, we've never stayed past 10 p.m., let alone 5 a.m., so I can't thank you enough for all the work. But I want to say that for the JSU who supports 14 other groups beneath them, and the JSU is an org that brings and puts on speakers as well. It's not just one body of Jewish students. We're talking about hundreds of Jewish students. $500 is $35 per group. $35 is 3 boxes of chili sticks. That's what $35 is, just to put it in proportion. So if these groups want 3 boxes of chili sticks, they have it. But they want more than that. When we ask for more than that, and we presented a very clear and a very coherent case as to why the JSU can't survive with less than $13,000, and the JSU got $13,500. So I want to say that if there is a way for us to get more money towards the JSU, especially at a time when there is no Jewish senator elected. I'm going to say that again during my announcements and talk more about that. There is no Jewish senator elected. Right now we have 3. I don't remember the last time we had 3. But I'm highly disappointed. I thought the JSU made a phenomenal case to why they deserve the money. And to hear that although I am more than aware that the Engineering Student Council deserves $76,000, I heard they requested $76,000 and they got $76,000 to the dot. So I don't understand. And I'd love to talk online about it. I don't want to make this a dramatic debate right now, but I want to just air my frustrations because I am very frustrated and a lot of Jewish students are too.
Point of clarification is that the JSU, the initial CFO allocation was $13,000. FICOM brought a counter appeal of $10,000. The JSU came in, defended their funding back to $13,300, a simple $300 increase from the CFO recommendation. The JSU received similar levels of funding in the past and has not come into contingency this past year.
Any other questions for FICOM?
Seconded.
Any objections? Motion passes by unanimous consent. Moving on to the consent calendar, we have 1, 2, 3 items. I do want to give Joe Wilson some time to talk to all of you if you have any questions about his appointment as the rep to the ASUC
Hi everyone, I guess I didn't actually plan on saying anything, but I'll tell you the reason for why I want to take on this position. The last couple of years, doing communication stuff, I've had the great opportunity to begin working and building relationships with student administration, especially in the marketing department, but just throughout the student administration. And the past year I've sat on 2 of the board committees and have been pretty involved in a lot of the conversations that have gone on about financing, the new building, spaces, all kinds of things. And I really care about communication between different parts of ASUC. I hope that I've proved that I can be trusted to come to the center and report as often as possible. I think that's really important for making sure that people are staying accountable and doing the things they need to do. And I think it's really important that Senate is updated about what's going on the board. And I think in the past that's been an issue. But yeah. Anything else? Any other questions for me?
Questions for Joe?
How come you're so awesome?
You're not part of the Senate. So, thank you.
Thanks.
So, given that information, does anything need to be pulled from the consent calendar? Thank you. So, I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent calendar.
Seconded.
What? Any objections? Okay, motion passes by unanimous consent. Joe Wilson is the official moving on to new business. SB 14, SB 90, SB 91, SB 92, SB 93, SB 94, SB 95, SB 96, and the nomination of Miguel Patel for Chief Technology Officer. I'd like to send SB 14 to Finance, SB 90 to XCOM, SB 91 to Finance, SB 92 to FICOM, SB 93 to Gov, SB 94 to Gov, SB 95 to Finance, SB 96 to External, and the nomination to the Senate. So I'd like to entertain a motion to send those bills to those respective committees.
Seconded.
Any objections? Motion passes by unanimous consent. Thank you, everyone. Fairly fast meeting. So next on the agenda is announcements. I believe we went this way last time, so let's do
Hey, friends. Not many announcements. Actually, a ton of announcements. Wellness seminar filming is happening. Thank you to the governors for coming, for questioning. Senators, relax. If you don't know what this is, can talk to me. It's like one of my big projects that's actually happening. Additionally, mysteriously, admin has stopped answering altogether, and it's hilarious because now I have a kind of first assessment. So that's exciting. I can't remember, but I'll email out about other things we've done and other stuff. Oh, my bill. If you have questions, y'all saw it. It's not that controversial. Kind of the same thing. Your parents said. Talk to me about it. I'm curious. And then, Mad Words are serious brother. We have an improv show on Friday at 8. $3 goes to Strong, 145 now. You should come see us. It's my childhood improv show in college. It's her time improv show. Thank you for letting me.
So, Kayla and I are going to work together on the GLA, the Amendment Coming Across City Council. We've both been working on it. We're going to try to join up and come up with some further action steps. And hopefully, there's been a lot of communities that have been working on this separately. So, hopefully, if we got everyone on the same page, it'd be more effective going forward. So, definitely let one of us know if you want to join in. Thanks.
Hello. So the info session for the group that a member of my office and I wanted to start, Engage, combating sexual assault on campus, had I guess what you might say an unfortunate timing. Namely, it was 6 to 7 right before ASUC elections. So many of the ASUC elected officials that I reached out to and said would come, didn't come. I was a little bit sad, but I understand. Still sad. Henry and I are hoping to at least have another info session maybe by the end of the semester. This will be more like we've founded the group and now we're trying to get people. So look out for that. And then we're going to try to start a listserv to just keep people abreast of like what's going on around campus, because I think just getting people involved in the work that's already happening is just as important as any work that this group would be doing. And yeah, not Senate-related news, just confirmed for a show with Aaron Carter in September. So anyone who's still around next year, people all around you got to come get it.
Hello everyone. Okay, so happy Earth Day. Woo! If you haven't read the article I posted on Facebook, please read that. Earth Day is an interesting holiday. On a lot of levels. Let's talk about it, because maybe we shouldn't be buying tote bags, and maybe we should be doing some nice lobbying, things like that. But because it is Earth Week, we have so many. Okay. Well, anyway, it is Earth Week. There's events every day, non-stop, like 20 a day or so, whatever. Check circ.berkeley.edu/Earth-Week, and tomorrow we're having tabling, and Soda is going to be having the Berkeley Art Studios pots for sale and put paintings in. It's going to be really cute. Then Friday we're having all-day tabling. We're going to have a kombucha making party at the Camp Healy. So many different other incredible, lovely things. And today was the Interval CAC Summit, which is the advisory committee on sustainability. That went really well. So that is Earth Day, Earth Week, yay. Next Monday is the Real Estate Student Board Town Hall. No, sorry. Next Monday is the Real Estate Transition Town Hall. The Real Estate Student Board meeting is going to be on May 5th. If you want to be involved in that for this semester, please let me know. I'm going to have 11 students go to that meeting with me, and then next year's culture will be confirmed in the fall. But if you're interested until then, I can representatives from every major. So if you're elect, if you want to be on that committee next year, please let me know. It's for the Real Estate Student Board. Megan is going to be coming in next week to talk about Central Talk for the last meeting, because she is pretty unhappy with the way turnout went for Council Technic last week. So yeah, you get to do another lovely thing about that. Woo! Also, there's so many different things happening, basically. With the Richmond stuff, they are reaching out to us a lot to go to that town hall. Please come next Monday night. It's from 7 to 8:30 p.m. We have confirmed Vice Chancellor of Real Estate's Chief of Staff, Moira Perez, and Steve Sutton from ASUC, and also Andre DeLuce, who is Grand's Chief of Staff. So they will all be there to answer questions. Moderating it, we'll have XCOM right after, so please come to that, and it'll be great. Also, next Tuesday, we're co-sponsoring an event at Hillel with, I started at Hillel last year during the before, and it is an event with my Inkerman to talk about healthy relationships. Should be very interesting, and it's at 7 p.m. And basically, everybody just please take care of yourselves. There's so many different events and things happening right now. And we talked about fair trade today. We talked about like 10 million basically different things. Come talk to me. Oh, and next week Joe was talking about the the Senate class pictures we were going to take. And basically Brianna and I were talking
checks, and if you haven't been in there, they're super interesting. I highly recommend it. Sophie Cross and I went in there my freshman year for like 15 hours or something and searched and found all this information on sexual assault and history on it. Basically found out there, that's when we found the 1979 complete subtitle there, and that's when we found like the 1879 pieces of sexual violence that come. That's when we started tracing the history. So literally all of that is in the first basement. Go in there and find it. But we want to have actual pictures taken of every single class and be hanging those in floors around because we don't even know like what the old senators look like, which is kind of interesting. So that's what ideally next Wednesday we'll do. There's a lot of things happening with child dynamic sustainability. We're kind of concerned about what's going to happen for that future. The climate sequencing is coming up in court. If you haven't RSVP'd and want to be there, please let me know because that's really big. Also, current, former, and incoming ASUC elected senators who identify as women. We're having a women's caucus on May 3rd. So I'm super excited. Most of you are speaking already, but if you haven't, I'll probably do that back there with some cheese French toast or something. So, that's probably it. Talk to me if you have any questions about anything. Very, very much side note, but May 3rd is the anniversary of my bat mitzvah, and every year, for whatever reason, it always ends up being like the day of something really like related to womanhood. So I think it's like really empowering thing that happens to happen on that day. Also, my office is also co-sponsoring the event that Haley was talking about. But I want to say that I had nothing, and the board's office as well. I had nothing to do with the planning of this. This is all on them, and it sounds like an amazing event, and I'm really excited about it. I hope to be helping with promoting it, but I just want to say that me co-sponsoring it does not mean that I put in any work, and I want to highlight those who did because it's really going to look awesome. Also, so every week, I mentioned this I think the last 2 weeks, my staff, we do like professional development, we talk about the ASUC, what they want to see changed. And something that just won't go away is the internship decal in that program. So I don't know if anyone else has any thoughts on that. Just to meet with me and the person that I emailed about that. Once they respond to me, hopefully I can set a meeting and then I invite you all to come into that. I'll send you all an email as well once they respond. But a lot of people just want to see some other things introduce this. And then next, I'm inspired by Melissa's recent visual poster that she's putting about like knowing your rights in the degree system. My office is doing a lot of different visuals for, I guess, like one, the corporate sponsor event that we're enrolled, two, just different things with the ASUC staff because one of their biggest complaints is that no one sees what we do on an annual basis. So with Madison's consent, like maybe talking about how Madison's office works to get tickets for junior transfers. These are all really tangible things that people can see. So if your office has done anything that's very tangible, please let me know so we can help make a visual if you would like it to be done. Bears.
Four announcements. I don't normally have a lot of announcements, but the first one is my office is also compiling an annual report, and one of the things in there is we're also going to include like achievements from like other Senate offices, other Senate offices, and so I'll be reaching out to all of you personally to kind of see if we can include like any general accomplishments of the year. The second one is the 14th annual Latina Youth Leadership Conference is happening this Sunday. It's really impactful because they're going to be doing about 100 different Latina women for middle school and high school, and like for a lot of them it's the first time that they've been on a college campus, it's the first time they've heard of the requirements, etc. But they're all looking for volunteers. It'll be from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. And if you have like a free hour, feel free to hit me up. Or I believe they also have a festival event. The third announcement is Campus Worker Appreciation Day. It's an annual event put on by the Rouse Army Caribbean and Retention Center. This year it's going to be on April 30th. It's a Thursday. And pretty much we provide campus workers with free meals throughout the day, all breakfast, lunch, and dinner, a variety of gifts and giveaways, and we provide them with like kind of monthly cards and like thankful cards just because they often do, they've been keeping track of like asking a lot of the campus workers. They've been cut a lot over the years and their hours have been stretched really thin. And this is kind of an event to appreciate them. And then last but not least, QACon, the Queer Asia Conference. It's a 3-day conference around issues of intersectionality and being queer in Asia. It's May 1st through the 3rd. They're always looking for hosts and volunteers. There's a Facebook event that's up. And yeah, that's pretty much the extent of my number.
study either food as well as music. So definitely come out with an engineering or tech major. So yay. I had a couple of really great meetings over the past couple of days with the College of Engineering Administration. So I'm super excited to see that women in engineering has gone up to 2.5% on average over the past 3 years. So that's a really big deal because 2.5% when you only have 1% originally is a lot. And in addition to that, so the College of Engineering is expanding its Pulse Engineering program. So that's going to be taking place in June. And we're also going to be helping do a couple of workshops with that. So we're actually expanding the program. So it's from 40 girls to 60 girls from middle school students in Oakland. That's paid for the entire week. So they have a bunch of different workshops throughout the day. They can go to LBNL, they can go to machine shops, and a couple of laboratories. So that's really exciting. So I'll be working on that this summer. In addition to that, I'm going to be working with my office. I'll be helping transition Rhea Show, who has been working in an office since August, to make sure that she's ready to take on all the STEM outreach that my office has been doing, so that she can continue it on for next year. And finally, just a comment to Hannah. If you are trying to figure out how the internship decal can be better as well as the internship program, I definitely really would love to talk about this. It's going to be like a big part of the office next year, and we want to make sure that it is definitely has some improvements for all of you.
Thanks to the senators-elect for sitting through this meeting. They're all going to do this long. This is a short one. This is a short meeting. If any of you want to help being transitioned, let me know. I know I'm already going to be working with Diana, Sina, and Zoe. So, biggest thing I have on my plate is setting up the structure of the Wellness Referendum Oversight Committee. Tang has already had about 3 meetings in the past 2 days to make sure that the hours of operation will be in place fall 2015, which is very exciting. So also, any elects, let me know if you want to be on that committee. It's a lot of work, but the budget is comparable to the ASUC budget, so get on it. And then the last thing, I sent this to the ASUC group text, but there have been emails sent to various graduations saying that student parents aren't encouraged to bring their children, right, which is really messed up, and a lot of other choice words. Just make sure if you are in any meetings with administrators that have any oversight of graduations, that they are being inclusive of student parents and their children for whom they are doing this entire thing in the first place.
Hello everyone. Okay, so there's like a lot of events happening in the Mexican community. Affiliated communities, I'm just going to list them off real quick. The Swana Culture Show, which is awesome. South Asian North African group community. Sorry, I'm really hungry right now. Swana Culture Show is happening on Saturday. AMPD, Association for Muslim Professional Development, is also having a banquet. MSA is having a banquet. Arab Student Union is having a banquet. The Muslim Day of the Capital is going to be this coming Monday. So that's a huge lobbying effort put on by the Council on American Islamic Relations, and it brings together high school students and college students. And they do a lot of lobbying on different issues across the board. Armenian Student Association is having the Armenian Genocide Awareness Week this week, actually. So it's having a display outside of Joe, so please check that out in solidarity with them. SSA was on Sprout today, and they had turban days. That was really cool. I don't know if you all saw that, but yeah. So Homeopic Conference is happening this weekend as well. So a lot of events, really great stuff. And so a lot of the funding is coming from ASUC ICON. So yay. That's it.
Hi everyone. So we have our MOU meeting tomorrow with Moffitt. We are also scheduled for a web call with the architects of Moffitt to design our rescue room, which I'm really excited about. Going to a classroom space policies meeting this week. I also saw the most updated version of the Uber website. It will be done by next semester, like I've been saying. Thank you to the Creek Senators.
Gabriele and Duncan this Friday. He is going to be up at 3:15 at Synchrony, right? And Senator Frankel will be coming up in the 5:45 to 6:15 shift. That's half an hour to dunk as well. Senator Drew Cruz, you're getting dunked as well. What time, Senator Drew Cruz? I know. So we have lots of opportunities, Senator-elects, who can dunk the current senators as well. But on a more serious note, I hate to be bringing up the conversation again and again. I know Drew Senator was elected, but Senator Broder and I talked today, and for some of the senator-elects today, I really don't want the Committee Against Anti-Semitism to just disappear. And I'm really asking if one or two, as many of you as you want, just please come and talk to us. We would love to talk about how you all can get involved, and there's room on that committee for students at large, and I think Senator Broder, Franco, and I will talk about, maybe all three of us will be on it just to help guide it throughout its first year in actuality. So if you're interested in chairing that committee, I would really, really appreciate that you come talk to us. It would mean a lot to me. It was really like the core of the work that my office has done for years, fighting anti-Semitism on this campus. I also want to give a shout out to your Donos. Day after elections, I emailed basically the whole slate that won with my concerns about the fact that there is no Jewish senator elected. She responded right away, so we're going to be meeting with her about how to involve Jewish voices in the ACC as well. So props to you.
No new announcements.
Everyone, sorry about that. Literally just having one of the best conversations about ASUC. And I will be happy to share with you. I think we should definitely be in conversations with Brianna more about what the ASUC archives are doing. I know this is brought up in previous announcements as well, but I think we'll discuss more about that.
Just one announcement to reiterate what Pablo said earlier. If you have freshmen in your office or sophomores, anyone with no points who has extra no points, please tell them to donate that to food pantry. It will help more students than you know. So that's that. There's one announcement that I'll pass back.
Thanks for letting me do this. So there's a deep barbecue on Saturday to give money for the It's On Us campaign. Please don't be there. Don't go. They're not affiliated. We're not condemning them for showing support for the campaign. What is upsetting is the point of the It's On Us campaign is to address rape culture, challenge our peers to hold each other accountable, and end sexual violence in any way that we can. It's done by hosting events about healthy masculinity, changing the manner in which pledges are taught to treat women and other individuals, addressing violent crimes, and working to actively make sure that they never happen again. When you host an event that is supposed to support a campaign, it should be effective. Hosting a barbecue is not enough to raise awareness or change the culture. The majority of the funds will also theoretically come from other individuals who are attending. It's important for fraternities to recognize is their own role in this issue. They need to host more workshops, facilitate discussions of what it really means to respect others, and need to have more direct conversations with university authorities who are working to change this issue. Despite the fact that this is a disaffiliated authority, we need to work with the university and ensure safety for all students, which this does not do. Also, It's On Us campaign, it's great, but why do we get money to pay more? Or organizations who are actually doing work to end violence on our campus in this area, and we're actually basically working this. So please do not do this. Have conversations with your fraternities, and this is not something that I personally support and do condemn, not for reasons of the campaign, but for that. Thanks.
I just want to congratulate everyone. You have only one Senate meeting left. Please be there. I remember for the past 2 years or so, we were never able to make quorum. We were never, I don't want to say never because we eventually did, but we had to spend a good hour or so calling everyone to come, and that's really not appropriate, especially for the senator-elects that are going to be coming in next week. So please make sure you're here. You only have one left. You only have one job, and it's to be in this meeting. So please just make sure. I did get a request that we talked about last week, a couple weeks ago, about a lunch or dinner between the current senators and the senators-elects, just so you could mingle, etc. Like I said, it's even more food budget, more controversial. Yeah, I know. You might as well just throw the entire money. Senator Hirschman. Senator ASUC. Senator Jarhalo. Senator Kamusi. Senator Lee.
Present.
Senator Nalbakar.
Present.
Senator Naveed.
Present.
Senator Wynn. Senator Fitzcat. Senator Curry. Senator Mesh. Senator Zong. Senator Desalia. Senator Wynn. Senator Fitzcat. Senator Curry. Senator Mesh. Senator Zong. And then for senators-elect, Jason Tay. Senator Alicia Lau. Andre Luke. Anshul Choi. Senator Rashid. Will Morrow. Senator Schuster. And President Kristol. Here.